What's up, guys? It's February 14, and let's go over my take on the earnings of the Ford Motor Company. So this is a stock that we own for the account, somewhere around 1280 range. We don't have a huge position in this account. It's not the biggest position by any means in our account, but that's because it got away from us. I wanted to build this into a significant value position in our portfolio, but it didn't happen. We don't chase stocks, so we just let it go, and we have our nice kind of medium-sized position in the account for now. Okay, so we own this stock for the future, not for the now, and the numbers are a little bit mixed, so we have to make sense of them and know what to expect here in the future. The key is going to be knowing how this plan is going to unfold, the Ford Plus plan, and how that's going to unfold in the several years to come. Okay, so let's get to it, of course. But before we do, please hit that like button and subscribe. Definitely appreciate your support. Hopefully you learned something from this and we have some fun in the meantime. Okay, let's get to it. So usually in these breakdowns, I like to go over what the company does. Very simple. I don't think there's one of you out there that doesn't know what the Ford Motor Company does. If not, then go open the website and take a look. I'm sure you've seen their cars all over the place. Not even worth going over, okay? But what I want to talk about instead of that is the Ford Plus plan, okay? Which the investor presentation show us here, essentially the plan, which starts with the iconic nameplates. And iconic nameplates is one of the most important things because we have the Bronco here, the Bronco Sport, and the Ford Maverick, a hybrid vehicle. So what you have to understand about these vehicles is that Ford will no longer make ICE vehicles, ICE meaning internal combustion engine vehicles that are not profitable. That is not the company they are any longer. So whenever you see a Ford Bronco on the road, a Ford Bronco or Bronco Raptor, the new vehicle that they just revealed a couple weeks back, these people paid a lot of money. People driving this vehicle paid good money for this vehicle, and the Ford Motor Company, you best believe they profited off this vehicle and off to sell that vehicle, okay? No matter who dealt it or who the dealer was, okay? Two completely separate things, the dealer from the Ford Motor Company, okay? We also have integrated hardware and software. That's your over-the-air updates that they're trying to do for electric vehicles and these Bronco and Maverick vehicles. Electric, obviously, F-150 Lightning, Mustang Mach-E. We have Ford Credit, which is a behemoth of a credit company. It's one of the best credit companies in America. Very profitable. Connectivity, here we see somebody using their phone to turn on their vehicle, to access security features, etc. And Ford Pro, this is for your business solutions for fleet management and overall business solutions. Okay, so that's essentially the Ford Plus plan in a nutshell. Now, moving on, I want to go over the stock. That's what we're here for, right? That's the important stuff. So right now, trading at $17.45 as of close of business today. We can see a one-year chart here reaching a high. Where's the high here? 52-week range. 25.87 is the 52-week high. That's that peak right here. And it backed off after it reported earnings, also because of interest rates, supply chain issues, and everything that's going on with the Federal Reserve, okay? So it backed off from at 25, trading at 17. I think that this is an addition any day of the week. If you don't have a Ford position, it's time for you to build one, especially if you want exposure to the electric vehicle phenomenon, the craziness that's coming with electric vehicles all over the country. If you want to be a part of it and you're not interested in a triple-digit forward PE measurement stock like Tesla, this is very good because if you look at the metrics here, we're looking at a price-to-earnings ratio, according to Yahoo Finance, of 3.94, of 4. Dirt cheap. Forward PE under 10 when Tesla trades at 90 to 100 at the moment. So, of course, two completely different companies, but this is growth at a reasonable price. You can make the argument any day of the week that Tesla is growth at a reasonable price, but I think it has a lot of good news priced into it. And I think here for the Ford Motor Company, not all the good news is priced in by no means, okay? So that's why we like the stock and we keep an eye on it. Maybe adding under $15 a share would be ideal for me. That's just a number that I throw out there because I'm cheap. I could be adding in the 16, maybe if I feel like it. I could add if it falls under 17 any day of the week, okay? So let's move on. All right, guys, so here's the earnings numbers, and they look a little bit ugly, but we'll dive more into this here because, like I said, we're buying the stock for its future, not for its present, okay? We know what the stock is dealing with. We know what they're reporting in their conference call. We'll go over that, but these numbers do not look good at face value. Let's go over these. So EPS, earnings per share, 26 cents versus 41 cents expected. That's a bad miss. No way around it. That is not a good number as far as the profitability of the company, okay? Now, revenues, 37 billion versus 41 billion expected. That's another miss. Adjusted EBITDA, that's earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, amortization, 2 billion versus 2.8 billion expected. Miss again. 2.3 billion in free cash flow on an adjusted basis versus 2.69 expected. That's a miss. That's a slighter miss in my opinion, but still a miss. Okay, now guidance. It's a little bit better story guidance. The EBITDA or adjusted EBITDA EBIT comes in line at 11.5 billion to 12.5 billion. That's a pretty good number right there. Even though it's in line, that's a pretty decent number. Also, given the recent strength of the balance sheet, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, okay? We also have adjusted free cash flow of 5.5 billion to 6.5 billion, well above the Wall Street estimates of 3.9 billion. That's a solid beat. That's good guidance. So the guidance is mostly good. Everything else, not so good, okay? So that's the earnings numbers right there. All right, so we're moving on here. This is sort of the breakdown by region of how Ford is doing in each region. We see here North America. We're doing a lot better in North America when it comes to revenues, EBITDA, and margins. So that is on track for 10% margins by 2023. Fantastic. I think their margins will be better by 2023. I think the margins, given the price of the F-150 Lightning, which they could increase by $10,000 right now, the asking price for these vehicles, and they would do so much better in their margins, and I think that their demand barely takes a hit if they increase the price of those vehicles. I hope not, because my reservation's still in line. I still don't have my order set up, but I still have my reservation active. I'm just waiting for my place in line to kind of order my vehicle. Hopefully that comes soon. Listen to me, Ford, okay? Hopefully it comes soon. All right, now we have South America, and in South America, we're seeing a very kind of mixed picture, mixed picture because it's still profitable, not as much as expected with the EBITDA profit, okay, of 36 million versus 39 million expected, okay? The revenue is also down 8% year over year. We're seeing some inflationary rising costs, supply chain issues arise all over the world. That's what these little dots I put there for. But Europe and China also not doing good, but they still have their own sets of highlights for those two regions, okay? We'll go over that. The worst supply chain hit region is by far Europe, and we're seeing that revenue is down 19% year over year. So they're experiencing a huge shortfall of semiconductor chips in Europe, even more so than here in the States, okay? So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. So overall, very mixed picture around the world on what's going on, and lots of issues to navigate at the moment. And of course, those issues right here, just like many other companies, they have to deal with them as well. Now we move on to the conference call highlights. This quarter, essentially the performance also to the future is pretty much outlined completely in the conference call. If you're a Ford shareholder, I think that you should probably just listen to the conference call. These numbers essentially are meaningless because we don't have the F-150 Lightning. We don't have full production for the Bronco, the Maverick, the Mustang Mach-E. We're still dealing with a lot of issues and a lot of production ramping, a lot of investing to produce and to secure supply chain. So essentially right now we're not looking at today's result. We're actually seeing the development towards the future. So keep your focus on that as a Ford shareholder, okay? But let's go over the highlights from the conference call. So we'll start with number one, best vehicle lineup ever. Bronco Sport, Maverick, Mustang Mach-E, which is beautiful, F-150 Lightning, which is still not in production, and the Ford E-Transit line. I think people are underestimating the Ford E-Transit line and the connectivity, fleet management sort of support they're going to get from Ford software, over-the-air updates, all kinds of things that businesses can do to better manage their fleet and keep them cheaper to maintain, okay? So these guys, the key here, profitability moving forward. Very much the key, and management is very much focused on every vehicle being profitable, and that is good as shareholders, okay? So number two, we got incredible demand for these vehicles. We already know that the reservations are stopped at 275,000, and they would have kept coming. They could always do a Tesla Cybertruck when it releases in 2035 and have like 3 billion reservations of the Cybertruck. But if it never hits, what does it matter, right? What are you doing if you have 2 million reservations for the Cybertruck and you can't fulfill, right? This is a truck that keeps being pushed back and back and back, and they can't make it affordable. And then now the issues are the doors or this or that. It's better to keep the expectation lower and realistic, and that's what Ford is doing here with the F-150 Lightning and the Mach-E and E-Transit lines, okay? Those are going to be very, very much money-making machines for Ford. We also have the Cost and Efficiency Task Force. That's an important thing that we gathered, or that I gathered from the conference call. So this task force is essentially, their job is to find cost savings in vehicles, make the design better, make it more fuel efficient. If it's an ICE vehicle, reduce the amount of hoses or wires if it's an EV. And they've already found $1,000 of savings on a Mach-E. And it's going to be that same thought, that same kind of learning process is going to be applied to the F-150 Lightning to make it simpler and more profitable for Ford. Okay, now we have also significantly improving margins in North America and the rest of the world. You guys saw on the map. If you guys want to take a look at that and rewind, take a look at that map. But margins are improving most overall in North America and South America. So we like that. That is positive. That's positive for the stock, positive for the business, and it speaks of good management. The CEO is doing really well, Mr. Jim Farley. Okay, now moving on. We got South America as an asset-light business plan, which is working. Asset-light means they're not building these humongous dealerships with thousands of cars. They're more going to an online ordering model in which people can order their vehicle and it arrives at a smaller dealership. Nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy. Focus on profitability, which we like. The brand essentially and the product will speak for itself. No need to have these monster dealers out there, especially in South America. Okay, we also have China, very strong demand for the Lincoln brand, and it's now the #1 market in the world for Lincoln. We also have the Ford Ranger pickup truck. If you guys see here, look it up on YouTube. The pickup truck for the international markets. Very nice truck. Very affordable, very, it's got a lot of good tech in there. It's not like a Tesla by any means, but good tech, reasonable price, great vehicle to get around in these countries with open roads and things of that sort. Very, very nice. Okay, we also have doubled EV production capacity in the last 6 months, 600,000 vehicles per year. Whew, amazing. Okay, and that'll keep going up. They've also talked about expanding production, breaking down walls at the Rouge plant to make even more assembly lines and just maximizing every inch of space they can get in these facilities. Okay, we also have breaking ground on the Blue Oval electric truck plant in Tennessee. That will be the largest and most advanced in Ford history. And then if the F-150 was in full production today, pretty cool stuff here, it would rival the Tesla Model Y as the leading EV nameplate in North America. Just think about that. That's coming very soon. And the F-150 Lightning, Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford, said, I'm going to bury Elon Musk in the truck market. Is that possible? I say absolutely. The Cybertruck, as cool as it is and as much as I like it, I know a ton of people who do not like it, who hate that design and will buy an F-150 Lightning, maybe even a Rivian, which Ford has a stake in Rivian. We'll talk about it in a little bit. And they're going to prefer, many people I think are going to prefer the F-150 and Rivian models to the Cybertruck. Okay, now we're going to go into ICE vehicles. We talked about this, will only be produced if profitable. Ford management understands that EV and ICE vehicle businesses are entirely different. So this was talked at length during the conference call, in which they're saying, look, we want to essentially have 40% of our vehicles be electric by 2030. Essentially, we're taking ICE vehicles out and phasing them out as the EVs are phased in. And that will be the plan. Essentially, we're still making profitable ICE vehicles while making even more profitable EV business and switching those profits into EV expansion as the ICE vehicles are sold. Okay, we also have $36.5 billion in the balance sheet, cash and investments. This takes into account the Rivian stake, which is worth about maybe, I would say, $9 to $10 billion at the moment. As the stock moves for Rivian, the better it is for Ford. And if we look at it here, I'll show you guys real quick on the balance sheet. We have here from the investor presentation slides, we have balance sheet here of $36.5 billion, including the Rivian stake, which at the time of this reporting was worth about $10 billion. Or actually, at the end of Q4 was about $10 billion. It's probably a little bit less, but we're talking about the strongest balance sheet in a long time for Ford. Even after they've invested so much money into production, they're carrying a increasingly strong balance sheet. So this is very positive for our shareholders, all right? Okay, guys, so that about wraps it up. Remember, for Ford, you have to be patient. This is not a stock you want to trade or you want to do options on. This is a good, solid investment for the future. If you believe in the F-150 Lightning, the Mach-E, the Ford transformation into electric vehicles, 40% by 2030, and I think it's going to be even higher. I think it'll be like 60% electric vehicle to ICE vehicles by 2030. And by that time, many people may not want an ICE vehicle any longer. And that depends also on the price of gas and all manner of different things. But essentially, this is the future of Ford. This is why we invest in it. Envision Ford in 3 to 5 years from now and how the F-150 Lightning will evolve year after year. What is the 2025 F-150 Lightning going to look like? What is the 2025 Mustang Mach-E going to look like? What about an electric Bronco? That would be amazing. So that's what we are in for. We're in for this company to grow, to make profitable vehicles that make money, and they keep increasing the dividend to shareholders, share appreciation. Can't wait to be all the way out there. But we're patient. We're okay for this stock to fall so we can increase our ownership of this stock. Where we can use the Russia situation, if it falls even further, use these macro events, Federal Reserve, Russia, whatever may come in the future as opportunities to add to the Ford Motor Company, because I promise you probably none of those will affect the performance of the business in the future, okay? That's it for today, guys. Visit me on the Stock Gladiator Discord, Instagram. Reach out to me, whatever you need, I'm here for you. Peace out.